And hello again, everybody. Welcome on back to a new series, which I don't know why I said welcome back. This is the first episode, but as you can probably guess, we are going to be playing Factorio. As mentioned, I've never actually finished Factorio, quote unquote. By that mean I've never launched a rocket before, despite having a couple hundred hours in the game. So that's what we're going to try and do today. Well, not today, but starting today with this series. So I've played, like I said, quite a bit of Factorio. It's a very, very enjoyable game. I've spent a lot of time with it and have a bit of experience, but I got it back when the game was, probably about $20. So it's been a little bit. Especially since I think the price is now 30, but this is a great game that pretty much just kind of lasted for quite a while, and I'm always down with playing some more of it. I recently got back into it a little bit, so I played probably maybe 20 hours in the past couple months, which is not much, but given that those were all kind of like in very quick bursts, it was a lot back to back. But yeah, so we're going to try and see what we can do with this. So first things first is we want to obviously get our lab set up, and we want to get our drill set up. I think my favorite thing about this is that you can have the burner mining drills for coal go into one another. As you build more and more, you can just get more and more coal to work with, and so on and so forth. And all you have to do is just click and grab what you need, and then you're good. For myself, I mentioned it, near the end of the Shape series. I like to play the game with the infinite resources. I know it takes away some of the base challenge and having to go around and explore things and stuff like that, and actually have to find new material nodes to bring stuff back and whatnot. But I play very slowly, and a lot of the times I end up running out of the resources before I can get more of it. So I prefer this just because it fits my playstyle better. And then also I decided, the other mod is just the long reach. So I can access inventories without having to be like right next to things. And I can obviously place stuff down wherever. And so I don't know, I also talked about it with the enemies. I do have them set onto peaceful mode because I've never actually messed around with that, but to my understanding, they won't just attack the base due to pollution. You have to attack them first. And if that's the case, then that's actually... Sorry, excuse me for the yawn. Because, it's like that gives me less that I have to worry about, but, I can still kind of develop different things like weapons and whatnot and have it not just be, in the way. I remember it's been a bit since I've played, but I know that there used to be a science pack that was based around like actually having to, kill the aliens to make the special, or like to make the certain science packs. I don't know if that's still in here or not, but if that's the case, then that also would be another reason for why we want to make sure that we have our what is it called? We want to make sure we have the aliens on, so that way we can actually do stuff if we need to. And one of the other main fun things about it having been a bit since I've played, and then also playing a bunch of shapes, is getting used to a completely different control scheme. As you saw me all the time in shapes, I would go and actually like just press the wrong buttons, and obviously that doesn't help us too much with things. So this is also going to be annoying because we're going to have to do some careful planning to get the most out of each node, since we have all three of, or all of our stuff literally connected at the beginning base, but that is okay. So I think I want one more so we can get started on harvesting stone. So we go like that. There you go. And just make sure to grab some coal from you. And there we go. So, kind of simple startup, get us a couple of the basics being automated already. And then I was like, obviously we're gonna want steam engines, boilers, so we can start producing electricity. And I think normally the sooner you get to electricity, the better, so that way we can actually start making things and have a bit of an easier time with that, instead of having to constantly relying on belting coal all over the place, because it's it's a pretty small patch. Instead of belting it all over the place, we just need to belt it to our furnaces that are going to require it, and then our steam engines, which, speaking of, we've got a body of water to the south, so that's probably going to be where I have to build all of that, because obviously in order for a steam engine to work, you need water. So go ahead and grab ourselves a little bit of wood. We'll build steam engine. Make sure we have some boilers as well, and later on, could fill this in, and then it'd be easier to kind of work around. Let's go ahead and build our first onto... Yeah, we'll start on that side. So we need an offshore pump as well. So we'll go ahead and drop you there. Grab a boiler. And... oh, I always forget about the orientation of things, and then I end up trying to place things like, oh wait, this doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe... oh, actually, yeah, if we can do it from just a small body of water. There we go. And then we take our boiler and... you know what? 1, 2... oh, that's right, I'm going to need a pipe gap in between. So we'll go ahead and just connect up you there. And then that way I can run straight up this way with our steam engines, and then we put the coal on down to the right side. And then we just fill it in with our... this is actually the perfect place to use the burner inserters. And we'll just go from there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to starting the series and seeing how things go. Hopefully, any of you watching will be looking forward to it. Or will at least join me and enjoy as I hopefully get to the point where I can actually launch a rocket and not just give up halfway through. And, start over so I can make things better, because that's a pretty common theme that I face. As you notice in shapes, for granted in shapes, it's a lot quicker because, you have infinite resources and stuff like that to build your factories. But in this game, it doesn't work like that, so it's a pretty big difference. So we'll see how things go. Worst case, I was like, I can end up doing something else and, having a better time. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that any of you that are watching are enjoying yourselves, and I'm also having fun. It is now very dark. And we'll grab some more of you. So once we get that started being powered up, we need to use our copper, which we actually have plenty of, so let's go ahead and build you. And the first thing we'll automate is going to be our coal production, which will then obviously automate our power, which will then, continue automating what else we need, so on and so forth. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and start just right there. We're going to need a lot of iron to make sure that we get our plates, so let's go ahead and expand this by 1. Make sure you have you. Boom. And boom. There we go. And we'll place you there. And yeah, make sure that that's good. Go ahead and fill you up. You get that. And so now we've got 2 furnaces that are working on the iron production, which we can then use to make more transport belts and help us get started. And that's the first thing I'm going to put on my toolbar, because I like being able to access those pretty easily. Obviously, we're going to have quite a ways that we need to go if we want to get the coal on down here, but we'll get there with time. So another hope for this is that I have, again, another platform to be able to just kind of banter and, make conversation as I get more used to learning how, the talking to myself thing works. Obviously, I've got some experience and I feel like I've been getting better over time, but, there's, as with any skill, you can always get better, and hopefully I'll be able to have some, anecdotes to talk about and so on and so forth. Obviously, the biggest thing you run into is with the pandemic going on and, not really going out and doing much, there's not a lot of things that I can really talk about in life experiences, because I was like, I do this and then I end up playing other games, so it's not like I'm doing anything out and about. So it definitely makes a difference, but we'll figure it out, and eventually it'll just work. And I look forward to having any of you watching along for the journey, because this isn't, this is a me thing, but I was like, I'd like to be able to share it with other people, and like I said, a lot of my main goal is to make the gaming space a better place, because I've talked about it quite a bit with there's just toxicity and all sorts of other issues that have arisen, and I feel like everyone deserves to have a better space, and in order to achieve that, you have to be able to work towards it. And that's kind of where I'm at. And so if I can do that, that would be great. Obviously I have, I'm small right now, but eventually I'll be able to, I think with just enough hard work and being able to keep things up, I'll actually be able to have more of a platform to make that change that I want to see. And yeah, so like I said, that's a lot of kind of what my goals are for this series, for also just kind of life in general. To to be honest, I just want to make sure that people are happy and get to enjoy what they want to enjoy and feel like they can do so without uh having to worry about toxicity and stuff like that. Like one interesting thing is, recently I've started playing Rainbow Six Siege. And I'm very new and it's in its 5th year, so there's a lot of people that have been playing for quite a while longer than I have. And as someone who, has dealt with a lot of toxicity on like games specifically, I never really feel great about playing anything online and, having to talk to random people. However, I only have one person I know that actually plays the game. So, as you can see, my issue kind of comes from there. And, luckily, like, any group, you're going to have good people and bad people that, either make the experience more fun or make the experience bad. And sometimes you just kind of got to keep trying to be able to get things to be better. And obviously a lot of the issues that I'm going to run into as a new player is the fact that all these people that know how to play are like, why aren't you doing this, when when I do something dumb or something that an inexperienced player would do. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of waiting and seeing and just trying the best to do the best that I can, and eventually I'll get there, as always, it's with anything, it's a learned skill, it's a journey to get to where you want to be, and a lot of the times it's worth it if you just take the time and do what you can. And on that, though, it was like, luckily we are pretty close. Oh, I didn't realize we actually had any burner inserters, so that's gonna work out well for us, because what'll happen is, so when you place the burner inserters, what'll happen is coal will get brought down here, and then when the coal's brought here, it'll fill itself up and then fill this up. And when it's doing that, it actually uses, you don't need to use electricity for it. So it comes pretty in handy. And we'll go ahead and start bringing this on up, because it's nice because you don't have to manually put anything into the burner inserters, and then it saves you on electricity, which takes a little bit to get going, but once you get going, you don't normally have an issue with that. So we'll go ahead and put you there, and there we go. So now we've got our first little bit of coal going, so that way we can keep that stuff powered. Go ahead and grab ourselves some more iron plates. And yeah, and it's interesting because like the basic transport belt goes at 15 items a second. When we ended shapes after all that time, it was like the belts did double this, so I think it's an interesting kind of change to see. I wonder, I know the developer mentioned that they were going to work on balancing the max speed that the belts can hit, because obviously after you get the final tier, it just kind of stops getting faster. So I would be interested to see just how things go. I think there's the potential that they could balance it more like how these belts are done, or so on and so forth. But let's see here. I'm trying to think about what our main goal should be, because I want to try and obviously get our coal production is going to be one of the more important parts, just because we need it for power and then also being able to run our furnaces. So speaking of, I can actually take you and you, that way we've got more there, and make sure you're filled up and you're filled up. Take that copper plate, put that in there, because what we can do is we can, once we research it, we can get splitters, and then we can put things, we can do some interesting stuff with that. And like I said, the best part about the splitters in this is that since the items work in belts of 2, an item, what is the word for it? And you can have 2 items per belt. If we split off, and then if we have, I think that's one of the more interesting parts, is you can have 2 lanes go into one, just by how you orient the belts, and then you use that for a lot of different things. So when you split off of a main belt, if you only want half of it to be saturated, all you have to do is just put one in the opposite direction, and then it creates that same thing that I just showed, and it'll put it onto one side, and then you can bring that to wherever you need it. So you can go ahead and do that. One thing that I also think is nice are the blueprints. You can do a lot of stuff with that, although I don't actually know how to get rid of it. There we go. There we go. Not have it take up any inventory space right now while I am not doing too much with it. So you'll see that. We can see the power that we're producing right now, which is not bad. We're not using a lot of it, so the ratio right now is working out just fine. And I think it's interesting too, because you have like ideal ratios for your boilers to steam engines. So it was like, the steam engines consume 30 a second, and our boilers can generate 60 a second, so we want a 2-to-1 ratio, I believe. And if that's the case, pretty self-explanatory. If it's not the case, just ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I will find out later on. But yeah, so I mean, I was like, this is already starting to back up a little bit, because as long as we're not pushing things too much, we won't have too many issues on that end. I'll put the telephone poles there. I'll do that there. I don't know why I called it a telephone pole, but hopefully it gets the point across. So that way we can clear that up, and so it was like pretty consistent rate. It's not going faster than the coal that we're using, so that's totally fine, especially since we're not using a lot of electricity at this moment. So let's go ahead and continue with our expansion. So what we want to do is we're going to belt the iron, and then we're going to use that belted iron to make ourselves iron plates. And that way, instead of funneling directly, we can, we can automate the process, which obviously is the main goal of Factorio. So I think right now, once it starts getting a little bit lighter, I was like, I think we have 2 options. We can either belt down over here, and then that way it's a little bit easier to carry the coal over, or we can belt up and then come through this gap. Let's go ahead and go... Yeah, let's go down. And I'll go ahead and make another couple of those while I hook this up. The other issue I always seem to run into too is not knowing quite how I want to structure these. Do that, grab ourselves some more iron plates, make sure that we have a couple of stone furnaces, and then we need to work on our lab so we can start doing some research. So the science packs are going to just require copper plates and iron gears, which are pretty easy to obtain. So not super worried about that. We'll go ahead and... I think our best bet is to have it on the back side. Yeah, so we'll put you there. And that way we can pack them in more densely in this end, and then there's only a one space gap to that side. I don't know what's better, I think that's normally how I just tend to handle it myself. So we'll come down and start bringing that over here. Make sure we grab ourselves some more iron plates, and we'll do that. And right now we'll just throw those right there. And first thing we want to get into doing is logistics. Now I will say that there is an achievement for being the game with a minimum amount of crafts, like handcrafts. I'm not 100% sure what that number is, but obviously, as you can tell by me building a lot of stuff by hand, I'm not particularly going for that right now. And so we need 15 for that to finish, so we can create 5 more of those. And the most fun part about this game is the waiting. Because it's a lot of that for some of the earlier stuff. Now luckily it was like, if I want, I have plenty of tasks that I can actually do. But I tend to do a bunch of waiting. So hopefully I'll try and be a little bit more active in what I do to keep this engaging and not just boring. So first things first, we'll go ahead and just extend you all the way out there. And because like I said, what we'll be able to do is we can start automating more and more things. The first thing we want to automate is our plate production. So we'll do that. Go ahead and throw you in there. Throw you in there. Yeah. And so now we'll go ahead and get started on logistics going. And let's go ahead and start. Oh no, wait, we're gonna want to... Alright, so I think since the coal belt's coming this way, I think what I want to do is we'll split so we can go down. And then we'll build the stone furnaces here. So 1, and then inserter, transport belt. Yeah, and so we got 1 inserter, transport belt, and then when we move it 1 more, we got another inserter. Right? Something like that. Yeah. So that way, we do that, and then get a first couple of these going. So we'll go ahead and just start with 8, so that's just 4 on each side. And now for here, I'm not 100% sure what's better. I know I mentioned that with down there, it's a good idea to use the burner inserters because, you know, they'll fill themselves up with coal and it uses less electricity. Thus, you need to produce less electricity. However, I think since we will be able to upgrade these later, I'm going to go with actually using the normal inserters for the time being. So make 4 more of those. There we go. Boom, boom. There we go. And that can get set there. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So there we go. Since we don't need to cover the stone furnaces quite yet, we can actually just take our time and only cover the inserters, which is totally fine. And all we need to do now, I could have sworn that said 15. Oh, it's 50. I misread it. It's 20, or it's 15 seconds for each one to be consumed. So I needed 20 total. So let's go ahead and throw you in there. Throw the last 3 in here. And there we go. And once that finishes up, we will go ahead and call the episode. So as we're wrapping up, I just wanted to say thank you again for watching. I'm excited to start this new series and hopefully have a good time. I think this will be a lot of fun, and you know, it's a new challenge. It's a lot different from how shapes.io worked, so I think that we'll have a lot going for us on that end. I think something got messed up when I was like switching stuff around, so I'm gonna hope. Cool. That worked out just fine. Alright, so yeah, so we've got that done. I'm going to save. I'm gonna make this our YouTube Let's Play, and alright. So in the next episode, we'll continue with what we got going on here. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. Comment if you have anything you're interested in sharing, maybe some tips, stuff like that, that you want to get out of the way early. And yeah, I was like, hopefully we'll have some more content out soon. I plan for this to take over the 6 p.m. time slot, and I'm looking at pushing myself to do a little bit more work and get some other things done. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one.